You probably have eggs in your fridge right now, but what if eating 4 of them every single day is changing your body in ways you haven't noticed? Is that a shortcut to better energy and stronger workouts, or a hidden risk to your heart and cholesterol? I'm Dr. Morgan, a board-certified physician, and today we'll walk through, in practical terms, what happens when you eat 4 eggs a day, the good, the not so good, and how to do it smartly if you decide to try it. First, why does this even matter? After age 40, many men notice changes: less energy, slower recovery from workouts, shrinking muscle mass, and lower libido. All of those symptoms often trace back, at least in part, to falling testosterone and to metabolic changes like increased insulin resistance and low-grade inflammation. Food is not the whole answer, but it's a daily tool you can use. Eggs are an interesting tool because they contain nutrients directly tied to hormone production and muscle maintenance, and they also contain cholesterol and fats that, depending on personal risk, can affect blood lipids. So 4 eggs daily could push you toward better function or amplify risks you should watch. Let's pause for 1 second. Before you keep watching, subscribe and tell me in the comments, do you eat eggs daily? How many? I want to know where you're starting from. Now, what's in an egg that matters for hormones and metabolism? Each whole egg brings a compact package: high-quality protein, cholesterol, fats, a mix of saturated and unsaturated, choline, vitamin D, B12, and trace minerals like selenium. Here's what each of those elements does in plain English. Cholesterol. Cholesterol gets a bad rap, but it's the raw building block for steroid hormones, including testosterone. Your body uses cholesterol as the starting material to make pregnenolone and then the downstream hormones. That doesn't mean eating cholesterol automatically raises your testosterone. The body tightly regulates hormone production. But having dietary cholesterol available can support the biochemical processes of steroidogenesis when other conditions, like adequate fats, enzymes, sleep, and overall metabolic health are in place. Protein. Eggs are rich in complete protein. Every egg contains about 6 to 7 grams of highly bioavailable protein with the essential amino acids needed for muscle protein synthesis. Maintaining or building muscle helps insulin sensitivity and energy expenditure, both of which are tightly linked to hormone balance. For men especially, preserving lean mass as you age is one of the most important drivers of metabolic and hormonal health. Fats. Eggs provide fats that help the body make and regulate hormones. Dietary fat also helps absorb fat-soluble vitamins, like vitamin D. But not all fats are equal. Saturated fat can influence LDL cholesterol more than dietary cholesterol itself, and preparation methods can increase saturated fat load, for example, frying eggs in butter versus poaching them. Balance and context matter. Choline and micronutrients. Choline is key for cell membranes and brain signaling. It supports memory and focus and plays a role in liver function, which affects how your body handles hormones and cholesterol. Vitamin D, which eggs provide modestly, is tied to hormone pathways too. B12 supports energy. These nutrients don't act in isolation, but together they help your brain, muscles, and endocrine system function. So, eating eggs gives you substrate and nutrients that are relevant to hormonal health. But what happens acutely, in the hours after you eat 4 eggs? In the short term, eating 4 eggs tends to produce strong satiety. Protein and fat slow gastric emptying, blunt the post-meal blood sugar spike, and reduce hunger for several hours. That satiety can reduce snacking and overall daily calories for some people, which in turn helps weight management. And maintaining or losing excess weight is one of the most reliable ways to protect and sometimes improve testosterone. For men who struggle with late morning energy dips or poor workout recovery, a protein-rich breakfast of eggs often translates to steadier energy and better strength training sessions. From a blood lipid perspective, a single meal of eggs can modestly raise blood lipids in the short term. Triglycerides and the blood's cholesterol-rich particles fluctuate after any meal. For most healthy adults, the liver adjusts, and these transient rises don't predict long-term harm. For someone already insulin-resistant, regularly eating high-calorie, high-fat breakfasts without balancing the rest of the day could worsen metabolic markers. Preparation matters here. 4 boiled eggs have a different nutrient profile than 4 eggs scrambled in a mound of butter with bacon and white toast. There's also an acute cognitive benefit for many people. Choline supports neurotransmitter pathways and acetylcholine synthesis, which can help attention and memory in the hours after a choline-rich meal. So some people report better focus after an egg-heavy breakfast. Okay, how about chronically, over weeks to months? This is where the balance of benefits and potential risks becomes most important. Potential benefits over time include support for muscle mass and satiety, which helps body composition. Better body composition reduces aromatase activity in fat tissue. Aromatase is the enzyme that converts testosterone to estrogen, and less conversion means better maintenance of testosterone levels for many men. Eating sufficient protein helps you recover from resistance training and preserve lean mass. Over months, consistent higher quality protein and appropriate calorie balance can translate into stronger erections, more energy, and better exercise performance. Again, not because eggs directly boost testosterone in everyone, but because they contribute to the conditions that favor healthy hormone balance. Dietary cholesterol may play a supporting role in steroidogenesis, but it's not a magic ingredient. The body produces most cholesterol endogenously. If you eat more, your liver typically downregulates its own production. In most people, dietary cholesterol alone has a modest effect on circulating cholesterol. The bigger dietary drivers of LDL cholesterol tend to be high intakes of saturated and trans fats, overall calorie excess, and, on the flip side, beneficial effects from unsaturated fats and fiber. Now, the other side, risks and who should be cautious. Eating 4 eggs every day increases total daily cholesterol and contributes calories and saturated fat if not prepared carefully. For most healthy men, that pattern can be part of a balanced diet without problem. But there are 3 groups who need particular caution. 1. People with familial hypercholesterolemia or a known genetic predisposition to very high LDL. For these individuals, dietary cholesterol and saturated fat can have a larger impact on blood lipids, and daily high cholesterol meals may not be safe with close medical supervision. 2. People with established cardiovascular disease or poorly controlled lipid profiles. If your LDL is already high or you have a history of heart disease, adding 4 eggs daily without adjustment elsewhere may push your lipid profile in the wrong direction. 3. Anyone who is exceeding their caloric needs and gaining weight because of it. Increased adiposity lowers testosterone through multiple mechanisms, and that risk can outweigh any theoretical hormonal benefits from nutrients in eggs. Let me be clear. For many men, 4 eggs per day are tolerated without clinically meaningful increases in LDL, especially when eggs are part of an overall pattern that includes vegetables, whole grains, and healthy fats. For some others, particularly hyperresponders, daily eggs can raise LDL and require dietary changes or different preparation strategies. You won't know your personal response until you monitor. A practical middle path? Consider rotating and modifying how you consume eggs. For instance, 2 whole eggs plus 2 egg whites gives you much of the protein and most of the amino acids, and it cuts dietary cholesterol substantially. Or try 4 whole eggs on training days and fewer on rest days. Pairing eggs with fiber-rich vegetables, whole grains, and a source of healthy unsaturated fats like avocado or olive oil blunts post-meal blood sugar and supports cardiovascular health. Let me give you 2 short, anonymized, illustrative cases from clinical experience to make this concrete. These are composite examples meant to show possibilities, not promises. One patient, a 52-year-old man who'd been struggling with low energy and difficulty maintaining muscle despite regular resistance training, switched to a structured breakfast of 4 eggs, 2 whole, 2 whites, sautéed spinach, and half an avocado, while keeping his total daily calories stable and increasing protein at other meals. Over 8 weeks, he reported steadier mornings, improved gym performance, and slight weight loss of a few pounds. When we checked basic labs, his fasting glucose and HbA1c were stable, and his lipid panel showed no concerning rise. He didn't go on hormone replacement. Instead, he focused on sleep, consistent resistance training, and keeping inflammation low. Another illustrative patient, a 60-year-old man with a family history of high LDL, tried 4 whole eggs every day, and after 6 weeks, we rechecked his lipid panel. His LDL had increased noticeably, and he was surprised. Together, we adjusted his plan. He reduced whole eggs to 2 a day, added more vegetables and soluble fiber, stopped frying in butter, and improved omega-3 intake. After another 8 to 12 weeks, his LDL trended back down. The point here is not that eggs are bad, it's that individual responses vary, and monitoring allowed an early correction. So, if you want to experiment with 4 eggs a day, how should you do it in a way that maximizes the upside and limits downside? Here's a practical, patient-friendly plan. Start with a baseline check and realistic tracking. If you have risk factors, strong family history of early heart disease, known high LDL, or existing cardiovascular disease, talk to your clinician before beginning. If you're healthy and curious, consider optional baseline labs: fasting lipid panel, fasting glucose or HbA1c, and a morning total testosterone level if hormonal symptoms are a concern. Then commit to a 30-day observational trial while tracking subjective markers: morning energy, libido, workout performance, strength or endurance, body weight, sleep quality, and mood. If you're willing, retest labs at 6 to 12 weeks to see objective changes. Daily structure. Aim to include vegetables and fiber with your eggs. A few examples: 4-egg omelet loaded with spinach, peppers, and onions cooked in a tablespoon of olive oil. 2 whole eggs plus 2 egg whites scrambled with mushrooms and a side of whole grain toast. Or 4 hard-boiled eggs with a salad and half an avocado. If calories are a concern, opt for 2 whole eggs and 2 whites, or swap 1 or 2 whole eggs for extra egg whites. Cooking methods matter. Boiled, poached, or soft scrambled with a modest amount of unsaturated oil, olive or avocado oil, are better than deep frying in butter or pairing eggs with processed meats like bacon and sausage every day. Fry in olive oil instead of large amounts of butter. If you like texture and flavor, try topping eggs with salsa or herbs rather than heavy cream or large amounts of cheese. Pairings and timing. Eggs can be a strong breakfast because they provide sustained energy, but they're also a great post-workout meal when combined with a carbohydrate source for glycogen replenishment. If the goal is better metabolic flexibility and muscle recovery, eat eggs after strength training along with some starchy carbohydrates or whole grains. For those focusing on weight loss, a high-protein breakfast can reduce hunger and calorie intake later in the day. Portion and weekly rotation. Consider a pattern like 4 whole eggs on training days or days with heavy physical activity, and 2 whole eggs plus additional egg whites on lighter days. Alternatively, rotate eggs with other protein sources, fish, poultry, legumes, to ensure dietary variety and broad micronutrient coverage. Now, what should you monitor and when should you stop or adjust? If you have risk factors, have your lipid panel checked roughly 6 to 12 weeks after starting the daily eggs. That window allows your body to settle into a new pattern and gives you meaningful data. Check fasting glucose or HbA1c if insulin resistance is a concern. For men specifically interested in hormone changes, a morning testosterone level, often drawn early morning, after about 8 to 12 weeks can be informative, but interpret it in the context of symptoms and with clinical supervision. If your LDL rises substantially, or if you experience new symptoms like unexplained chest pain, persistent digestive issues, or allergic reactions, stop and consult your clinician. Let's define a few terms simply so you can read lab reports without anxiety. LDL is often called bad cholesterol because higher levels are associated with greater cardiovascular risk. HDL is good cholesterol, which is protective. Triglycerides are a type of blood fat that rises with excess calories or high refined carbohydrate intake. SHBG, sex hormone binding globulin, is a protein that binds testosterone in the bloodstream. Changes in SHBG affect how much free testosterone is available. Insulin resistance is a metabolic state where your cells become less responsive to insulin, leading to higher blood sugar and insulin levels. It's associated with lower testosterone and higher inflammation. All of these are pieces of the bigger picture. A few practical recipe ideas to get you started. A breakfast scramble of 4 eggs, 2 whole, 2 whites, with a large handful of spinach, diced tomato, and half an avocado. A portable option could be 2 whole hard-boiled eggs plus a salad with canned salmon for protein balance, or a post-workout plate of 4 eggs with sweet potato hash and sautéed greens. If you're watching calories, opt for 2 whole eggs and 2 whites and bulk up the plate with non-starchy vegetables. Food safety and allergies. Eggs are generally safe when cooked properly. People with egg allergies should avoid them entirely. For immunocompromised individuals, avoid raw or undercooked eggs due to the risk of salmonella. Store eggs properly and use by-date guidelines. A few common questions I hear. Will eating 4 eggs raise my cholesterol? Maybe, maybe not. Most people see modest changes or none when eggs are part of an overall balanced diet. Some individuals, called hyper-responders, may experience a larger LDL rise and would need to adjust intake. Does eating eggs guarantee higher testosterone? No, nothing in nutrition guarantees a hormonal boost. Eggs provide building blocks and support physiological functions that can help, especially alongside resistance training, sleep, and reduced inflammation. Can eggs prevent age-related testosterone decline? No single food can prevent hormonal aging, but eggs can be a helpful part of a strategy that includes exercise, sleep, stress management, and weight control. If you decide to try this, here's a clear 30-day challenge you can follow and adapt. Day 0. If you have risk factors, talk to your clinician. Optionally, get baseline fasting lipid panel, fasting glucose, or HbA1c, and a morning testosterone if you're concerned about symptoms. Days 1 through 30. Eat 4 eggs daily using the guidelines above. Prefer boiled, poached, or soft scramble with olive oil. Pair eggs with vegetables and a source of unsaturated fats. Rotate whole eggs and egg whites if you want to reduce cholesterol load. Avoid daily pairing with processed meats and heavy butter. Track these daily. Morning energy, scale 1 to 10, libido, scale 1 to 10, workout performance, weight reps or duration, sleep quality, body weight, and any digestive issues. Optional, take weekly photos to track body composition subjectively. Weeks 4 through 6. If you're concerned about blood lipids or have risk factors, get a repeat lipid panel 6 to 12 weeks after starting. If you're tracking testosterone, get a morning level at roughly 8-12 weeks interpreted in the context of symptoms. If LDL increases significantly or you feel worse, reduce whole eggs to 2 per day, or switch to 2 whole plus 2 whites, improve fiber and vegetable intake, reduce saturated fat elsewhere, and recheck labs. If you have a negative reaction, rash, GI distress, etc., stop and consult your clinician. A few final practical tips. Don't think of eggs in isolation. If 4 eggs fill a caloric gap and don't displace vegetables and fiber, you're probably okay. If those eggs come with extra butter, bacon, and white bread every day, you're stacking risks. Also remember, variety is important. Include different protein sources across the week. Fish for omega-3s, beans for fiber and micronutrients, poultry and lean red meat in moderation depending on your needs. I'll close with a realistic emphasis. Eggs are a powerful, convenient source of nutrients that can support satiety, muscle maintenance, and provide substrates relevant to hormone production. For many men over 40, thoughtfully using eggs as part of a balanced eating pattern can be a simple tool to help energy and workout performance. But eggs are not a magic bullet, and they're not safe without thought for everyone. The right approach is individualized. Monitor symptoms, consider labs if you have risk factors, and adjust preparation and portioning to fit your health profile. If you try this 30-day plan, track your energy, workouts, and mood. And if you have risk factors, get a lipid panel and discuss the plan with your doctor. If this video helped you, like and share it with someone who's curious about their breakfast habits. And if you haven't yet, subscribe and tell me below, do you eat eggs daily? How many? Medical disclaimer: this information is educational and not a substitute for personalized medical advice. Talk with your healthcare provider before making significant changes to your diet, especially if you have a history of high cholesterol, cardiovascular disease, or other chronic conditions. Thanks for watching. Make small changes consistently, monitor how you feel, and let science and your own body guide the next step.